when we left here, you made a call to action.
Yes.
In fact, you said, stop praying. It demonstrates
Go
it's a lack of trust. Go act. So I stopped along the way to act, not knowing how much I would act. And oh boy, there was plenty of conversion opportunity. That particular organization.
This is after History Makers training.
Yes, in April this year. And so the issues of concern were on illegal detention, police brutality, trafficking, gender bias, all kinds of injustice, which I have grown to hate injustice. I mean, I hate it on every front. I hate injustice.
This is in America.
In America, but this organization also does work internationally. But because of injustices I've experienced my own self, and I'm currently walking through a course, and I can see it happening in the lives of other people.
Well, that means that's exactly what God is calling you to confront.
Right, I agree with that. And it brought to life, the history making training made me aware even more of that calling in that particular place.
I see.
And then,
so in History Makers, this training could actually help you to discover your calling or to define it more precisely
it helped to clarify it. Definitely.
And then equip you and release you for it.
Correct.
Propel you
definitely
to action.
The equipping and the releasing. And in fact, it's also helped me very similarly. While I had the desire and willingness to do it, when people impose limitations on you, sometimes you don't even know that those limitations have been imposed.
I see.
Until someone brings to light.
You are right.
Just in the
especially if you are living in an environment where so many people are also in that limitation and they don't seem to be aware of it.
Right. And so, for example, the racial bias, the disparities that exist, and as I said, just injustices in general. When I listened to the storylines, they had prayer groups for different countries actually, and I heard those stories. I said, hey, wait a minute, this is happening. Court delays, people being robbed of this, being falsely accused, something they never did, being arrested or falsely charged. I could relate to it. And then it was like God began the pieces began fitting together that, I thought that was God. This is definitely God. And this is happening all over the world. Modern day slavery and things of that nature. And so it made me, actually I could hear you behind me saying, you better take action.
Right, in Washington.
In Washington, D.C. So
I was in Ukraine though.
You were in Ukraine.
But the training.
Yes. I could hear it. So for the next few days, that's what we did. So not only did I pray, we did pray, and I prayed more effectually and fervently. I knew how to pray and the things to pray, not only for those people who I don't even know them really, but also for the lawyers that were there who serve as executive directors of those countries. They were expressing the concerns that they had and how despondent they would become. Well, I could identify with those feelings of hopelessness, or you couldn't do anything, or being ready to give up, and was able to even give encouragement to them. And I was like, what? I started sounding a little bit like, I was like, that's what Pastor Sunday said. What are you talking about? But
so
just
instead of you to come down on the same despondency or something, you are rather coming on top.
Yes, absolutely. And then not only that, but we took further action. We went to Capitol Hill before we left and lobbied.
Brilliant.
On trafficking issues.
Glory to
so
God.
We were taking it, we were already outside the four walls of the church, but now we're going to say, let's
to where the power is.
Yes. Change policy, change legislation.
Brilliant.
And setting up, obviously we engaged with groups. I met other people from Georgia and also North Carolina.
Wow.
I made it my business to meet the people who are in North Carolina also, because since that's my home place, I believe God wants me to have an effect in that land, and I have relatives there. And so I have a niece and a nephew, and so I'm concerned about that generation or generations that are younger than me, to make sure that the youth are being raised up and empowered. And so those were parts of my conversion activity. Just before I came this time, I have a relative that had previously been diagnosed with cancer, and then we had a family reunion. So we had discussion about the state of our family. Like, there are so many children, but everybody wasn't on point. We had some seniors amongst the group that were doing all sorts of things, and we were like, what's going to happen? Where are these kids going? Do they have any direction? And we were like, who's going to whatever? And I could hear you back there behind.
Take responsibility.
Saying, you're going to do it. Rise up, and what are you going to do about it, right?
Marvelous, yes.
And so this one cousin, he had a cardiac failure.
Attack, yeah.
And we received an email the day before I was to leave that he was in hospice. So somewhere along the way, he literally died. God restored his life. So I'm now in the shower. They're saying the visitation is restricted. So while I was in the shower, I settled in prayer about it. And he had gone to church that Sunday, and he was so keenly listening. He sat up and was listening to the word. The minister was preaching about unquenchable faith, unwavering faith.
Brilliant.
So then I was like, okay, God, you prepared him for this test. Give him one more opportunity. So I sent a text back to my other cousin and said, where is he? Well, he said, you'll have to call Mom to find out. I said, no, I'm not calling my aunt. That's his mom. I went to his sister's house, and I walked in the door. I was like, what's going on? She's kind of calm about it. And we finally got her. I said, so what's up with Leonard? Where is he and what's going on? And I want to go see him. I didn't even give her an opportunity to tell me I couldn't go see him. And I went there.
No room for failure.
No, because I needed to make sure he knew he could still live and that he had an opportunity. And I wanted to hear, because he's a senior and he has great influence on our family. So he has the potential to bring some other family members in order. And we need him to do that.
Yeah.
So before I left, we had actually left out, and I kept sensing I needed to leave something with him. Now that I heard, he began announcing when we got there, the doctors were saying that he was going to be going to another floor, to the regular hospital. He was in the heart center. So already I was like, yes,
God's work has started.
He's already changed things, turned them around. And then he finally said, well, they said I'm going to go to 3A, but I don't think they're going to let me go just tomorrow, but I am going home. So I needed to clarify what he meant by going home. So he gave his address. I said, great, you're right on target, right?
He has faith. He
has faith. And so I said, well, the big man is looking out for you. He said, he's always with me.
Glory
this guy, I said, wonderful. So that was great. And then, there was a part of me said, I went down to get him a gift to leave because I knew I was going out of country. And so there were these little teddy bears. One had prayer, and it talked all about prayer. And I was like, God, he needs to be praying now. He can't go back to an old life and settle into that and just think you've given him a gift. And then there was another one about feeling better. It was very laid back and just really it said all of that, but in love. And I decided to do the one in love. And the reason was because, in the church, it's easier to be pressed down. You did this wrong, you did it. I was like, no, God has given him life. So inspire that life to keep living. So I took it back to his room, and he pressed the button for the voice to begin speaking.
Okay.
He said, Marvin, just started laughing. And he was like, this is so funny. And we did two things. I scheduled a date with him for June 15th when I get back.
Okay.
Why? Because a scheduled appointment means you must be here to meet it. I'm going to be there, but he must be there to meet it.
Brilliant.
Number two, we scheduled another appointment for July. July, for us to go now to where our parents
Mm-hmm.
were raised,
Yeah.
to learn more about
Yeah,
and
yeah.
make some change there.
Mm-hmm.
He agreed.
So you can now influence him more.
Yes.
And he will be alive to do all that.
Yes.
He will be around.
And he received it. If I had taken the one in prayer, he would have received it, but it would have been like, oh, more of a church, religious.
But this is
but
love
this-
and acceptance.
Yes. And I could see the barrier just breaking down
Glory to
on
God.
that. So I said that to say, while I'm down there choosing the teddy bear, I hear your voice back
The
here.
training factor.
Yes.
And when you were there
The
at
practical conversion.
yeah, you could hear.
Kindness. How do you make that?
And when you were at Washington D.C. as well,
Yes.
you could hear, no, this is possible. You could hear the voice from the training,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll never be the same.
No, I won't. And one of the presentations we heard today from Pastor Derek really touched my heart. I have a love for the church, but the church is it's just been in disarray.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to see the church.
This is the church worldwide.
Yes, the church worldwide. And I grew up, the church was so vibrant, it was full of authority and passion. And it's kind of lost that. It's been without power lately. And I want to see it revived. And I believe our generation is called to action. And some of us are equipped and some of us are not as equipped as we should be. And we're not relevant to the generation to follow. And so we have to change, and I know that. And I recognize the need for a bridge. And when he was talking today, I could hear that God had somehow gotten through to him, and the systems, just the training, he's been able to apply them, and it just encouraged my heart.
So this is leaving Ukraine.
Yes.
So it's not just here.
Right.
It's going places.
Correct.
You think there is hope for the church?
Yes. And his doing it, and that he's had success, since I know God doesn't have favorites, he can do it in Canada, in his country.
He will do
God
it in America.
Exactly.
And everywhere else.
Everywhere else, yeah.
So I love that.
Thank you, ladies. You
Thank
people
you.
have been wonderful.
Thank
You
you.
people have been so wonderful. It's been so nice talking to you all. And friends, this is just, I'm so sorry that we needed to finish this and end this conversation, because these ladies they can tell you stories more and more. We could listen to them all night long. But, because of our time limitation, we've got to say, you've heard it all. What is changing people's lives so drastically like this? Is it really true? Or they've been brainwashed like I've been accused here in the Ukraine? Because this kind of effect and this kind of results, when it happens to Ukrainians and Russians and Jewish people here in this country, and the secular people and regular people, the only conclusion they come to is that nobody can change anybody. Like there's no way. Okay, it's one thing for 3 people to be changed like that, but it's no way for it to be thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. I mean, they're talking the same. I mean, and it's true, they are producing the results. Nothing can change anybody else like that. It must be hypnotizing them. It must be making them into zombies. It must be brainwashing them. But this is not true. We know that if you're a believer, God is doing that. There's a new thing God is doing this day and this hour. God is alive. And there's a new move on the face of the earth. You want to test it? Get in touch. You want to think they're lying? Not really. And if you look around the world, you'll see that it's true what they've said. Maybe not too many places you go to in the world today that you will exactly see the things that are happening in the Ukraine. So come, join in the river. Come, jump in the river. Let's just swim with the Lord and enjoy it. And let that river begin to flow from inside your spirit and become into a great, great ocean, that where we could just please God, please Him, and extend His kingdom to the ends and the utmost part of the earth. Well, our door is open, and we are ready to receive you here. Just come visit. Be a part of this training, and let your life be transformed once and for all. Thank you now. and God bless.